This conference will.
Well, welcome everybody. This is Dave Beatty with NeverStrip Floor Coatings. I hope everyone's staying safe. Appreciate you joining us during this webinar. The topic is Micron, NeverStrip Micron versus floor finish. And we have a subtitle called A Compelling Argument for Change. So the two pictures you see on the left is VCT at a grocery store in Iowa with the NeverStrip vinyl seal on top of 2 coats of NeverStrip Micron primer. So the system that was done there was 2 application of the NeverStrip Micron primer at about 2,500 square feet per gallon per coat, 1 burnishing after the second coat, followed by 2 coats of vinyl seal at about 5,000 square feet per gallon per coat, with a burnishing after each application. We like to use a soft white burnishing pad for the Micron primer and a 3M Aqua burnishing pad, which is a harsher pad for the vinyl seal. To the right is the NeverStrip vinyl seal on linoleum. The project on the right was done by Lippert Tile a number of years ago, where they actually took a degraded linoleum floor and using a square scrub machine with an enhanced prep pad or a 3M surface prep pad, they conditioned that floor and then applied 2 or 3 applications of vinyl seal and with burnishing and achieved that appearance. In that particular situation, which actually has won a StarNet Dream Team Award, the very first maintenance Dream Team Award, I believe, the hospital actually had called Lippert up asking for them to come in with the expectation that the floor was going to be replaced. It had been down for approximately 9 years. And Lippert said, we can restore this floor. And they did that with the system that I just explained and ended up doing quite a bit of it throughout the hospital and saved their client a significant amount of money. The same process they used on the linoleum can also be used on LVT to restore LVT. So let me now toggle down on this document and demonstrate or show a chart which NeverStrip believes is compelling, a compelling argument for change. On the left, we have various attributes. The middle column is the Micron technology in comparison to the far right column, which is floor finish. I'm not going to go through line by line here. If everybody could just sort of take a moment and scan it, kind of absorb it. We believe this is a comprehensive overview in a table format of the differences between the Micron technology and floor finish. And also not only the differences, but the rationale for why someone should stop using floor finish and move their floor care to the Micron technology, which would be the vinyl seal or the tile seal or the stone terrazzo concrete seal. Let me just talk about a couple of the items in particular that really stand out. So in today's world, where there's going to be an increasing emphasis on disinfection, products like alcohol hand sanitizers and quaternary cleaners and other disinfectants, many of them are not compatible with floor finish. Floor finish it gets eaten away by the product. It turns dark. They're just not compatible. So the Micron coating technologies are highly resistant to alcohol hand sanitizers, highly resistant to disinfectant cleaners, such as quaternary cleaners. So this in and of itself is a very compelling reason why facilities, especially now, because going forward, there's going to be an increasing emphasis, we believe, on disinfection, not just cleaning of floors. Historically, only I think a very small component of floors have been disinfected on a regular basis. Your operating rooms, your patient rooms, things like that. But we're starting to hear now where, in fact, we had a customer in New Mexico last week that told us that their healthcare clients have told them they want their floors disinfected throughout the facility, which is a major change. So this is we believe this is going to accelerate the movement away from floor finish / wax to technologies such as the Micron. Let's look down here. Let's talk about stripping. Everybody, I think most people would be aware at this point that the Micron products do not require ongoing stripping, unlike floor finish that does. Now, floor finish is stripped basically for two reasons. One is dirt, soil works its way into the coating, and a scrub and recoat is unable to remove the soil, so you have to remove all of the finish and start over again. Soil doesn't work its way into the Micron in the same way. And so soil sits on top, it can be easily removed, and that's one reason. The second reason floor finish ends up being stripped is because floor finish will ultimately amber or yellow. The Micron products do not. So that's a compelling reason why organizations, facilities should move away from floor finish towards the Micron. Let's talk a little bit about burnishing dust. Burnishing dust cannot be healthy for anybody, and yet burnishing floor finish produces dust that ends up going into the air and settling on surfaces. We have a customer in Iowa that maintains close to 10 grocery stores with the NeverStrip Micron products, has for 4 years, uses a propane burnisher that has a burnishing dust collector. And what he tells us is he can do a whole store with that propane burnisher, and at the end of the burnishing, there's essentially no dust in the burnishing collector, compared to floor finish where it would be substantially full. Another very critical difference we believe between floor finish and NeverStrip Micron products is in the traction. So the Micron products have excellent traction, and NeverStrip has plenty of independent testing data that supports that. Floor finish, not so much. Anyway, that's a summary. We think if you're out in the marketplace and you're discussing with your customers who are using floor finish widely across their facility, if you have a good understanding of this table, you're going to be able to describe to them the advantages and why it's to their benefit to have you convert their floors from conventional floor finish to the NeverStrip Micron technology. Another one real quick is on burnishing frequency. What we have found is that frequency of burnishing goes down when somebody converts from floor finish to NeverStrip. Let's go down to the bottom row, total floor care cost. We NeverStrip have a model that we be happy to provide to you, which shows that over a 5-year period of time, the overall reduction in costs associated with the use of the Micron versus floor finish in what we are characterizing as a moderate maintenance floor is in excess of 20%. There's a small single-digit increase in cost in year 1, followed by reductions in cost in the 20% plus range year after year after year, associated with the Micron compared to floor finish. So, and we'd be happy to provide you with that analysis. All you got to do is send me an email and let me know, and I'd be happy to do that. All right, so why don't we open it up for discussion? Eric, you'll be happy to know that we're up to 20 people. So if you all want to unmute yourself and we can talk and have some questions, that would be great.
Dave, can you explain when to use the primer and when to use so many coats and when not to?
Sure. The Micron primer is effectively only used on VCT. The primer, you put 2 coats down, you burnish it once after the second coat. The purpose of the primer, and the only purpose of the primer, is to help produce an overall gloss level that is more typical of floor finish. So without the primer, the NeverStrip vinyl seal on VCT by itself does not achieve the gloss level that a lot of people like to have on VCT. On other types of floors where gloss is not so important, or that are more where gloss is not so important, such as LVT, typically linoleum, there's no need for the Micron primer. Typically one applies anywhere from 2 to 4 applications, and you achieve a satin type finish. And in most cases on LVT, customers are not burnishing that floor, and so they maintain a satin finish. You can certainly burnish vinyl seal without the Micron primer on sheet vinyl or LVT or linoleum if you want to, and it will increase the shine. But on VCT, the combination of primer, Micron primer, and vinyl seal is the system that we generally recommend. Thanks, Eric.
And to follow up on that, if we were to take over a facility, take off the existing acrylic finish, put down 2 coats of primer, and then put a coat of vinyl seal on, after year 1, or year 2, you'd need to refresh it. Do you refresh with more primer as well, or do you just have to refresh with the vinyl seal only?
Just the latter. So what you would do is, when you want to refresh it and put another application down, we would use our NeverStrip Micron Restore Cleaner Restore product. You would clean the floor with a green pad, which will actually dull the finish. It will not remove it, it will dull it, the vinyl seal. And then you would put another application or 2 of the vinyl seal and burnish. So there'd be no need to strip the floor.
And Dave, could you quick do an overview on how you get to using the password and finding the steps and spreadsheets that you have on your website?
Sure. So why don't I go to and show you. If I go to NeverStrip.com, there's a couple of different resources that I want to show everybody. The first one real quick is, if you go to gallery, there's videos and there's photos. The photo gallery is a great resource for selling because it's got lots of pictures, before and after pictures, oftentimes many of them by StarNet members that you can use to show people what the products can look like on floors that are similar to their floors. All right. The video gallery is, we have a variety of videos, some of which are instructional, such as this particular video, which shows the application of the Micron products on concrete, LVT, VCT, and ceramic and porcelain. And then these webinars oftentimes are recorded, and anywhere from a 10 or 15-minute webinar, you can listen on a whole variety of topics that we've been covering over time. If we go to resources and go down to specifications and instructions, you then have here written instructions on a whole range of different systems. In this case, for example, the resilient flooring, Micron resilient burnished. These are the written instructions for the system where you would put 2 coats of Micron primer, 2 coats of vinyl seal, and be burnishing on VCT as an example. This would be the Micron resilient non-burnished, would be where you would not use the Micron primer and you would not be burnishing the floor, such as what would oftentimes happen on LVT. If we go to resources and we go to authorize login, and the login to get past this section and get to the dealer, our customer only section, is NeverStrip Dealers, capital N, capital S, capital D, NeverStrip Dealers. If I put that password in here and click on login, now what we have are estimating worksheets that are available to you to estimate the direct costs of a project. So for example, Micron resilient burnished on VCT, if you click that, it will pull up an Excel spreadsheet right down here. And if I double click on that, it will eventually pull up that spreadsheet that you can then work with to get an estimate of what your material and labor costs are going to be for this project. And that's a direct cost, doesn't add overhead, doesn't add profit margins, things of that nature. But we have one of those for many of the different systems that are available with NeverStrip. There you go. So this is, so you know, you put your square feet in, you put your direct labor costs. Let's say it's $28. We have VCT. So just as a kind of a rough measure, what this is saying is the Micron resilient system for VCT, labor and materials based on all the assumptions that we have in here, is 65 cents a square foot. And then you can go in here and modify that depending on the circumstances of the project. Okay. All right, Eric, does that cover what you wanted me to cover, Eric?
Excellent. Yeah, that's a good tutorial. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So let me go back to where we were, if I can. Sometimes it gets a little tricky here. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Hey, David, I think there was a question in the chat here. It says, are there any cleaners that should not be used after the Micron has been applied?
Yeah, that's great. So we want to stay away from 3 basic types of ingredients. So we do not want to use citrus cleaners on the Micron products. We do not want to use cleaners that have what's called D-limonene, D-limonene, L-I-M-O-N-E-N-E, I believe, which is actually an extract from orange peel. And we do not want to use any kind of cleaners that would have any sort of butyl type compound. That could be butyl, it could be butex, it could be a lot of different butyl derivatives. Butyl actually is the ingredient in a stripper, for example, where if one wants to, one can easily remove the Micron using a floor finish stripper that has butyl. Let me also comment that NeverStrip has 2 cleaners today. We have a Micron Clean, which is sort of a daily cleaner, 1 ounce to 2 ounce in a gallon of water. And we also have Micron Restore. Micron Restore is a cleaner restore product. So not only does it do a super job of cleaning, more so than even the Micron Clean, but it has some of the original active ingredient that was applied, and what it will do is it will, by its use on a periodic basis, maybe once a month, once a quarter, in an auto scrubber or in a mop bucket, the use of that product at 8 to 12 ounces per gallon of water will extend the life of the Micron coating and extend the time frame between recoats. And so we strongly recommend that you sell that product to your customers. Either you're using it or they're using it to provide higher level of satisfaction over time. One of the projects that NeverStrip is working on, and we potentially are getting close, is particularly relevant now because of the COVID experience and the need for what we believe will be an increasing need for disinfection of floors in a much broader range than historical. Is NeverStrip may be coming out soon with a floor cleaner disinfectant product that is going to be compatible with the Micron coatings and will allow your customer or you to clean and disinfect the floors with confidence. So that's something that could be coming down the pike here soon.
So that product does have disinfectant in it, David?
Yes, it's a hydrogen peroxide based disinfection product. Yes. Yes. So you'll be hearing more about that in the near term. Any other questions? I have a quick story. Today, NeverStrip got approached by a school district. And this school district contacted us and said they had recently installed within the last year, they had installed 120,000 square feet of Mannington LVT, which has a fine texture to it. And they clean their floors, the classrooms and wherever, they clean them on a daily basis with flat microfiber pads. And what they have learned is that because of the texture, over a period of 3 to 4 weeks, they have learned that they have to then scrub the floor. Otherwise, the soil that's getting lodged inside the texture is not being removed by the microfiber pad. So this gentleman, who is a director of buildings and grounds for this school district, said they had discovered NeverStrip 6 months ago on NeverStrip.com, and they've been struggling with this, and they did not want to apply floor finish, and they wanted to find something that would be better without having the labor associated with ongoing finishing and stripping. And so he called today, and I had a conversation with him, and he ended up acquiring some NeverStrip vinyl seal to test. And he said, and I told him that this is a common occurrence. We NeverStrip get these kinds of inquiries frequently on textured LVT. Also happens to happen on textured ceramic and porcelain. where the end user has a difficult time maintaining the floor because of the texture. They have a difficult time cleaning the floor. And what we've learned is that a couple of applications of the Micron products make a floor with texture easy to clean. And so what he'll find is when they run that microfiber pad across the floor, there's the soil that's gotten lodged down maybe a little below the texture is sitting on the Micron coating, and it releases, the soil releases easier than from the floor itself, and they will no longer need to be cleaning that floor with a machine as frequently in order to maintain it. So I wanted to tell that story. This is something that we've recognized for years now, but this just happened this morning when this school district called us. Any other questions? Looks like there's a couple of chat questions. Maybe oh, does the Micron cleaner have a quat or disinfectant in it? That was from Chip back 5 minutes ago. The answer, the cleaner that I just referenced, Chip, does not use a quat technology. It uses hydrogen peroxide as the disinfectant. And I got Chip asked, looks like the same question as Carlos about the what cleaners can be used. Send me the Pennsylvania lead. That lead in Pennsylvania, Chip, was north of Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's in your world or not. You tell me. Okay. Any other questions? If anybody wants the analysis, the 5-year analysis comparing floor finish to Micron, just send me an email at david.beatty@neverstrip.com, and I'll be happy to send it to you. Okay. Well, sounds like we're done. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be we're going to have this same webinar on Thursday at 11 o'clock Chicago time for your associates that couldn't make this one. We will take this webinar and put it on the website so people can listen to it at their leisure. And then next week at 11 o'clock Chicago time on both Tuesday and Thursday, we will have an additional webinar on the Micron coatings on a slightly different topic. So I'll be sending out notices about that. All right, well, thank you everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, David.